This is the Bunzerelly Show.
With a few weeks left, Kevin and I conclude our discussion about Infinity War with talk of the possible future ramifications of Infinity War and also the past, present, and future of Spider-Man.
Think right now, like without seeing it, and I know we all want to see it, like where do you see Infinity War going? Because if the fourth movie isn't going to be a finale, did they come out and say that Infinity War was the culmination of everything that they had done up until now? Or is 4 going to be the culmination?
No, 4 is not. Infinity War is the culmination.
Okay, so my theory on Infinity War is that people are going to, like, be gone.
Yes.
Because there's no way you have a Thanos storyline where he's your big bad and everybody makes it out all hunky-dory.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be like the 12 Avengers versus a god. It's just not going to work. So, like, you watch the trailer and you can already kind of put it together. I'm pretty sure Vision is one of the characters that bites the bullet.
I think so, too.
Because without the Infinity Stone, I don't think he lives. Like, that's what powers his body. Unless Tony Stark makes up another, what's he do in Iron Man 2? Makes a new element. So I think he's one of the characters. I think Hulk and all of them, like Hulk's already gone into hiding, before. So like I think if he takes a beating, I think he might just either disappear again. It's just there's so many characters that are going to be Infinity War, and you're like, what's going to happen to everybody? Mm-hmm. And you're like, where's it going to go? Because if 4 is going to be a reboot-ish type movie, how do you fit everybody in?
4 might be the ramifications of whatever happens in 3. Like 4 might be like
the fallout.
Like say Captain America dies, then and then Falcon does become Captain America. That'll be 4. It'll be the new team members. Like they've done storylines where like they have a girl Iron Man now in the comics.
Yeah, I've seen that
because the movies are following the storylines. The comics are taking liberties and doing their own stuff because you can't just have dual storylines going parallel to each other. You make the comics a little different. I think there's a girl Thor, Falcon. They've done some real cool stuff.
See, so that kind of like falls into theory, if Captain America does, die in Infinity War, and then Falcon takes over Captain America instead of Bucky, that kind of sets up my thing for the Night Wolf or the White Wolf theory with what they're saying that he could be introduced as. Like, he could become a warrior for Wakanda and stay in Wakanda instead because he's, like, at peace there. He likes it there. Because, like, if you watch the trailer, there's a number of scenes where, like, it looks like he's fighting with them. So I think he might be, like, become a warrior for Wakanda and just be that, like, character instead of becoming the next Captain America, like in everything else. Falcon's going to do it.
You just reminded me of something. Bucky's been Captain America too.
Yeah,
he has been. So yeah, there's another line he could go out.
I don't know. I think a lot of people are on like their last leg of their contracts, So it's going to be like, well, do I sign back up? Do they want me to sign back up?
It's almost like they had a meeting and he goes, "Okay, guys, line up."
Yeah.
In, out. What are you guys doing? Because we're gonna figure it out now.
It's just like you look at the movie, like the Guardians of the Galaxy characters. Like I don't see any of them dying, and if anybody did, maybe Drax. Like, because he's the one character that hasn't like put himself out there to like. Because like you look at like Star-Lord, like he sacrificed himself. He grabs the Infinity Stone in the first movie. He saves himself to save Gamora. And then, in this movie, in the newest movie, nobody really does it. I think it's Yondu. His character, kind of like sacrifices. So I think like one of them maybe, but there has to be some like ultimate like scenes. Like there's a few scenes where like I think it's Thor or like it's Thor or Captain America. One of them is like Thanos picks them up by their head and is like holding them by their head.
Yeah, I think it was Captain Iron Man, I think.
Yeah, or something like that. Like, not to say that he's like squish.
I think James Gunn has such a hold on that Guardians thing. But I remember he said something at the beginning, like, it's like, I don't know if the Guardians are going to meet the Avengers. And then later somebody whispered in his ear and he goes, oh yeah, I can see that being fun. Like, he just like, but I don't
Who the hell are you guys?
But I think they have such control over that I don't think, like, I think James Gunn would be in control of who died or not. Maybe one of Thanos' daughters between Gamora or Nebula, just because of obviously the Thanos connection. Yeah. But
it's tough. Like, I don't see anybody from the Guardians dying because I know they've already planned like Volume 3. I think they're like already in the works. I don't see Tom Holland dying because they already said that I think the next Marvel movie after Avengers is going to be the sequel to Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So you're already looking at that. And I'm hoping, because Spider-Man's character is now a younger than Tobey Maguire character, younger than, the Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. He's just a kid, I think that whole, like, that in itself is a ripe opportunity because now you can, introduce the Osborn family.
Can they do it again, do you think?
So, like, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, they skipped over Norman and they just went to the son, which was okay. Like, they had that friendship. They didn't have the same friendship as you saw in, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. So I think with a new Spider-Man and a movie that kicked it off really well without introducing the Osborns, like not even like the kid like he knew in school or anything, like they didn't even introduce it. Mm-hmm. So I think it'd be really cool for them to, I want them to, because I think you can find somebody who can play Norman Osborn. I mean, even though William Dafoe was like perfect. And you know what? You could recast William Dafoe to play him. He could just be an older, just like if they were going to do Doc Ock, Alfred Molina could come back and play that. He would just be an older version of Doc Ock.
Have you heard that rumor of Mark Hamill playing Doc Ock? I don't. I heard. I
don't know if I could go with that though, because man, I look at Mark Hamill, dude. There's two things I see. I see Luke and I see the Joker, and that's it.
I know.
Or the Trickster on Flash, which is amazing.
I would have thought that until I seen him as Luke, because now it's like, because of where Luke's storyline went, I feel like, well, now, but Mark Hamill himself has been in the spotlight so much where it's almost like, I feel like everybody would just like stand up and clap their hands. I think he could do, like, he did some interesting, even though fans had different feelings about the direction Luke went in, I think Mark Hamill was freaking awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I love the movie. You and me both did.
I'm excited for the, because they just announced, I think the Blu-ray is coming out. I think they said April or it's March.
March, I think.
And one of them, I think I don't remember what it was. I think it's like a 2-hour, like, because there's supposedly like 16 deleted scenes or 12 deleted scenes. And then there's like an hour, like, commentary thing with the director, Ryan Johnson. And he kind of goes over like what he visioned for Star Wars, and then like it actually like goes into like the backlash in the movie. Like he actually sits down and talks about like what the fans thought, which will be neat to see.
Yeah, he's funny. He like I listen to Rebel Force Radio a lot, and it's funny because we'll do our Star Wars show. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Now I can listen to Rebel Force Radio because I want to steal something from them by accident. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny because they're like constantly playing clips like, oh, Rian Johnson hit the press again. This time he's explaining the Leia thing. This time he's explaining the Luke thing. Like he's constantly just
this time they're doing the Rey thing.
He's like spending 3 months just explaining why he did stuff with the movie.
Yeah.
But it'd be very cool to watch a commentary with him.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a way to make some extra money? Well, have you considered being a driver for Uber? Now you can make money when you want on your time. And right now, the Bunzerelly Show has teamed up with Uber to bring you a special offer. If you go to our link on the episode description, you can make a guaranteed $200 on your first 30 trips. And Uber will pay the difference if you don't make the $200.
Terms and conditions may apply. Go to uber.bunzerelly.com for more details.
Or look for the link on this episode description.
I don't know, man. Doc Ock was killer in Spider-Man 2. So.
Spider-Man 2 was great. And even like...
I'd be more worried about them trying to reboot that than I would Norman Osborn.
Here's what it really was with 3. It wasn't even like 3 was like because they did this, they did that, and that. It was just the way they were building with 1 and 2, because they slowly unfolded the Harry thing, and then the 2, Harry was way in the background, but all of a sudden at the end he realizes Peter Parker was. So it's really just my theory. I don't think I told you this, but the way I think 3 should have went was it should have been Harry, and it should have been because you had Sandman and Venom, and it should have been, even Sandman was good, and even Venom in different circumstances, but I think it should have been the Lizard, or like a simpler villain, and here's why. But not the Lizard that's trying to take over the world with a smokescreen. There's different iterations of the Lizard, and some are more like mindless monsters than others. Just so you have something different to look at besides a third Green Goblin. But make that story like Harry's story, and make that the trilogy. And when you look back at it, it should have been like you should look back at it and say the trilogy is the Harry-Peter saga. And we didn't get that. We were robbed of it. It was shaping up to be that, and it was just his switch at the end was just such a goof.
I mean, I'm hoping that whoever was at Sony that had take part in that was like taken out back. They ruined Spider-Man 3, and they had that build, and you're coming off of what was the biggest movie for that franchise, and then you just tanked. And I think they did have too many things. 3 villains in a movie, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Plus the ongoing, saga of him and Mary Jane, which is like the 4th villain.
Yeah.
If they would have just gone in and done the Harry thing, and that was it, it would have played out good. If they would have gone in and maybe done like a minor villain, like you could have introduced Sandman as that minor villain, because he had already been in 2 movies. So Spider-Man's a known person. Yeah. He fights off villains. You could have introduced a minor character as Sandman and show him get busted, and then like, cool, like we threw in a villain and he was there, and not
make the big complex connection to Peter Parker. Just make him just Sandman.
And then the Venom thing, I have likes about it, and then there's things I don't like about it. I don't like the guy who played. He played the annoying second photographer for the Daily Bugle, but I just don't like that character. I don't like the guy that played him either. The Venom part was okay-ish. Like I said, the Venom part, it was CGI-ish, but it looked really interesting in some aspect. Well,
even if you look back at it, it's like the whole scene was just from where you went with the first 2 movies, now all of a sudden there's this giant Sandman, and there's police tape around it, and this whole crowd is standing around with Spider-Man signs. Would you do that if you saw a giant sand monster just be hanging out and see what happened? You know what I mean? It got really corny, and constantly with the news reporters with Spider-Man. You didn't see that in the first 2 movies.
Well, I mean, the only thing you saw the best parts is the Daily Bugle.
It's Jonah Jameson. That's part of his story. Yeah.
That guy can come back and play that role.
But they had the news reporters narrating the movie for us.
Yeah, we're breaking live. Spider-Man is now fighting a giant sand person.
A woman in a taxi cab is in a spider web and a giant sand monster, and we're all hanging outside here.
I think they should have skipped over the dark Peter Parker. That ruined it. The slick back Tobey Maguire hair, and then the whole scene where they kind of ruined Harry when he blows up the pumpkin bomb in front of him, and it burns and scars his face, and then he looks he looks horrible the rest of the movie, and you're kind of well, that guy died at the end, so okay.
Yeah.
But it's just you guys ruined this movie in so many ways. Dark Peter, burnt up Harry, a half-ass Venom, and a Sandman who just wants to save his kid.
Yeah.
And it's just it was just all over the place, and that's what ruined it. It had so much opportunity. And that's why my hope is that they do that with the new Spider-Man. They go that direction. Let's introduce Harry as a college kid. No, okay, so my whole thing is I hope that for the new Spider-Man, because they're going to do a sequel, it's already planned, is that they'll build a story, introduce a young Harry, because he's already in New York, but he's not in Richtown, New York. Maybe he goes to college, MIT or something, or like because he's like in high school. So I think hopefully like between where Homecoming is, where Avengers is, and where the next Spider-Man movie is going to be, I'm hoping by the time lapses, like clearly he's still in school because in the trailer he's on a school bus, but maybe he's a senior.
Yeah, from what I remember, I think they might have said they were going to kind of go along his high school years, kind of like Harry Potter. Like, was it like sophomore or senior? I'm not sure.
In Homecoming, he is a sophomore already.
Okay.
So in Infinity War, is he going to be a junior?
Yeah, I guess a junior.
Or a senior, and then like come around like by the time a new Spider-Man movie comes out, because then you're going to have the fallout from whatever happens to him in Avengers.
Yeah.
You know, is he going to be like going to college? And my hope is that's when like you introduce Harry. And then you might maybe like, hey, here's my like dad, here's Norman, you know, we know Oscorp, because you still haven't seen. I don't think like looking back at Homecoming, you saw anything about Oscorp.
No, I think they steered clear of any Osborn stuff.
And another crazy thing is you know, when they did the first Spider-Man movies, you didn't have, you know, all that Chitauri like tech that came from the sky, and then in Homecoming, that's what all the bad guys are using. But think about it, you know, if Oscorp was around in Homecoming, you think they would probably have a ton of that stuff already. And maybe that's what they can introduce as like the tech that's used for Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Like he's got like a saucer that flies and it's made out of, you know, that type of like energy.
Or even the Vulture could kind of, oh no, it's not the Vulture. The Tinkerer is the guy that built the stuff for the Vulture. So if they keep, did the Tinkerer live at the end of Homecoming? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because Vulture is, you know, attacking the plane, but the Tinker is like in a van or like in a house somewhere just talking to him. And I think after things like go awry, that's just the end of him. You don't see him again.
See, that would be a cool after credit scene of something where somebody just comes and gets the Tinker and be like, my name's Norman Osborn. I want to talk to you. You know what I mean? Like,
that would be really cool. Or like, hey, like here's a card, you know. Or like, how about this? You see Tinker like in a diner in New York. You don't see who it is because maybe they don't know who they want to play Norman Osborn. And you just see like a card land next to him, and it's like Oscorp. And I just like lose your mind.
Yeah.
Like I could see that because like I want to say they did that before, because they didn't want to like reveal who was playing somebody. But they wanted you to know that they were thinking of like that character.
I think they did that in Amazing Spider-Man 2, actually. I think.
Was that when they did like Mr. White's character? Like you don't know who he is.
Yeah.
But he like works for Oscorp, or like he's like their underhand.
Yeah, I think so.
So I don't know. Like I have hopes. My hope is that they don't screw Venom up and somehow he gets tied into Spider-Man.
Well, definitely a lot of cool stuff coming down the road. So, this summer is going to be cool, and we're going to get answers to some of these questions by the end of the year. But glad we got a lot of these theories on tape. We'll see which ones are true or everything. But, hey, Kevin, it's been great, dude.
Yeah.